of the PowerPoint.
Okay.
The PowerPoint has the milestone folder and.
Oh, we need like presenters.
No, yeah, that's what I've noticed. Sometimes the PowerPoint, your fonts get all weird and then like things like cut off.
Okay.
So that's why I did this PDF too. I don't know if you've ever done
Oh,
that.
Like the different, the individual slides, that PDF images.
It's like, yeah, it's like one PDF. Through it.
It's easy to keep it less of a turn. My wife knows my new, like, I don't think we got a turn, it's just, we didn't come up here with this, we don't need to just.
Oh, maybe just the,
I know.
Oh, your business.
the angle of it.
But you should, every 5 years, after you do I mean, probably both have got 25 codes.
You're all good to start.
Huh?
Takes like.
Yeah, really.
We're good. Are we good?
I don't know. Yes, we can start. Okay. She might just fiddle with the.
Yeah, I think he's working on the other thing. We're good?
Yep.
Okay. We will call the regular city council meeting of November 15th, 2023 to order. Please stand and join me in the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, roll call, please.
I'm over here, it doesn't seem it. Mayor Ellis,
Here.
Tom Taylor,
Here.
Kathy Sherman,
Here.
Casey Kinsman,
Here.
Wendy Rainey. Here. Ann Schaefer. Here. Kristen Carpenter is absent. Ken Jones.
Here.
Is here. On Zoom. That's a form of council.
Okay, approval of the
Move to
regular.
approve the agenda for November 15th, 2023.
Second.
The moved and seconded, any discussion on the agenda? With no objection, then the agenda will be approved. Disclosures of conflicts of interest and ex parte communication. Seeing none. We got communication 5 petitions for visitors. We have a guest speaker tonight, Kathy Renfield, Executive Director of the Cordova Chamber of Commerce. Welcome, Kathy.
Hello, you guys hear me okay?
Yep.
Online? Okay. I'm just getting the presentation up here. Yeah, you wanna try to, I don't know if you try that one first. Yeah.
Yeah.
Slideshow at the top, and then from the beginning.
Kathy, can you see the slides?
Yeah, okay. Hi, everybody. Thanks for having me here, and always great to check in with you all. I think you all know me, but Kathy Renfield from the Cordova Chamber of Commerce. It's been a pleasure to serve in this role now for almost 8 years. That makes me now the second longest standing chamber executive director in the state of Alaska. And happy to have learned a lot in that time and seen a lot of great growth. So I'm going to talk to you today, give you an update, how the year has gone for the chamber, what we're looking at for the future. So this year, a little less than a year ago, the Chamber Board of Directors and staff did a strategic planning session, and this is our mission: propelling Cordova into a thriving future. And this is really what we work towards every day with the work that we do. We are an organization that is focused on the economic health and diversification of Cordova. We want to do this in a way that complements and supports what makes Cordova who it is and what makes it special. And our ultimate goal is we want to try to be thinking about the future and while making Cordova a better place to live right now. Next slide. And now the how. The first thing that we're trying to do is empower the business community. So we are an organization that represents businesses, although and nonprofits and other community organizations. Although a lot of our work is actually focused on benefiting quality of life for all residents. One of the ways that we want to achieve this goal is through empowering businesses. So we do this in several ways. This year, we had the pleasure of hosting a customer service training that was available to all businesses. We brought in an expert from outside Cordova to teach that for local businesses. We also partnered with the Native Village of EAC to offer cultural sensitivity classes for businesses. And of course, we did our Business Empowerment Summit classes. And we held 2 business empowerment summits this year. So the whole idea with that is we're trying to give actionable advice and realistic resources to businesses. We want them to feel stronger and more excited to grow and feel a little bit more confident and connected to other businesses. And so some of the classes that we taught through there was business taxes, social media 101, a breakout session on Instagram Reels, bookkeeping, and then a QuickBooks 102 follow-up to that, business resilience. We did a session on regenerative tourism and how to get involved, one that was about business planning and financial projections. We had a speaker present on recruitment and retention strategies for hiring, creating social media content calendars. That's just some of the classes that we offered. And the way that we structured it is we tried to utilize as much as possible local business owners and business people who have these skills, and then other people from within the state, so that when people came to these classes or watched them later, these entrepreneurs could get a little bit better understanding of this subject area and determine whether they felt more confident to step forward and do more with that themselves. And if not, and if they needed more help, now they knew of a resource that they could go to that could provide them additional guidance. Really, we're trying to tailor these opportunities to the businesses. We also offered direct business support. We did one-on-one sessions with business owners and entrepreneurs. We connected them with resources through the Alaska Small Business Development Center. We were doing a lot of business referrals. We did ribbon cuttings and milestone event support, cooperative advertising. We did some workforce development. That picture on the right is some of your city staff at the CHS job fair, which we were happy to help with. And there's also, we're working with the Prince George's County Economic Development District and others to explore childcare solutions for Cordova. We have healthcare that any business who's a chamber member can take advantage of, and not only will it benefit them, but all of their employees can be signed up for it as well. We also have, we have members who offer additional support, like people like Kate is one of our members, and they can provide additional support for people that need more specific workforce development help. And then we're also, next slide, we're also focused on fostering connections. So I told you earlier that our vision is propelling Cordova into a thriving future. And how do we do that? Our mission is to empower the business community and foster connections that enhance the quality of life in Cordova. So some of the ways that we're doing the second part of that is we really believe that there's truth in the saying that if you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go together. So this is how we are trying to bring the business community together to find more ways to collaborate. If we can do that, then they're gonna be hopefully spending more money with each other, keeping that money circulating in town longer before it goes out, providing more opportunities to come into Cordova, to provide more economic stimulus for all of us. And of course, it's gonna build a stronger community that's gonna make it a better place to live here in Cordova. You're gonna hear more in a little bit at the end of my presentation about our business gala that's coming up this weekend. I know some of you are attending and some of you wish you were attending, but can't make it. But if any of you are free and you're not already signed up to come, I hope you will, and there are tickets for you. The idea here is that we have obviously our small business members that are kind of the beating heart of Cordova and of the chamber. And then we also have been throughout this year recruiting more corporate members. And the idea there is that we want to complement the support that we're getting from our small business members and from the city of Cordova and from other partners with support from entities who are headquartered outside of Cordova but have interests here. And so we're bringing some of those folks in for this gala to be able to get to know our small business owners better, hopefully create more opportunities for everyone. We're also going to be having our business awards, and there's 18 local businesses that were nominated for awards this year, so we'll be handing out 6 awards at the event. And we're also going to be doing a live auction, and we're having a really beautifully chef curated dinner and some other fun events that I won't give away all the details, but I hope you guys can make it. We're also going to have a Blue Economy social that's coming up right before that, like a gala pre-party. And the Blue Economy project that we've been working on, the idea there is we're really trying to bring together all of those businesses that share that common resource of the ocean and the water, and find ways for us to get, you know, a fuller utilization while protecting the health of that resource, so that it maintains its vitality for generations to come. And so we're going to be partnering with the Alaska Blue Economy Center and with Edible Alaska to put on that event, and that work is continuing year-round as we keep trying to build out this Blue Economy project. And the absolute aim of what we're doing is to improve the quality of life in Cordova. And one of the great things about that is that Cordova is a great place to live. And people are going to want to live here. They're going to want to keep paying their property taxes and their sales taxes. And then we're going to have kids in the schools, and we're going to be able to continue to pay the bills that need to be paid at the city and the municipal and the state level to keep the services that are important. And so several ways that we really work to improve quality of life. Obviously, we have our festivals and events. Immediately coming to mind would be, you know, the signature chamber events like 4th of July and Shorebird and Fungus and Holiday Kickoff. But we also partner with a lot of other events. Sobriety Celebration, we were just a partner with that event and enjoyed working with them. Ice Storm, Salmon Jam, and I would put Cordova Central meetings and conferences in this bucket as well. That's a big part of the vitality from the locally run events that happen in this building to the ones where we're bringing in folks from out of town. Those people, those types of visitors really have a positive impact on the community. A lot of you are also familiar with our Shop Cordova First program. We've expanded that this year. In the past, that's been really focused on the holiday season, and it still is going to have a big push here coming soon for the holidays, with our Moonlight Madness and our Shop Cordova First passports that we put out, and the Small Business Saturday and all of that. But we now are doing quarterly promotions for that throughout the year to help remind Cordovans all throughout the year that it's important to keep supporting local businesses. And then, of course, we're also making our shopping and dining guides, and those go out as 4 times of the year, and they're specifically targeted. We have versions of it that are specifically targeted towards different festivals and events, and we also do customized ones for different Cordova Center meetings and conferences and sports tournaments and things like that. And then finally, regenerative tourism. The reason this is in the quality of life category is that the idea behind regenerative tourism, one of the ideas behind it, is that we are trying to build out a complementary industry that supports what we already have going on in Cordova, that complements the industries and the businesses that are already here and builds them up, and that whatever we build out for visitors, first and foremost, should be of service to residents and be of value to them. And so we're trying to improve the quality of life for residents through tourism. Next. Oh, man, see, this is what I was afraid of. There's no graph here. Well, perhaps we can go back afterwards. We can go back to the PDF version of this, but this is actually in the impact report that should be in your packet, this exact graph, if that's still in this packet. Is that one? No, it's only the last one. Bummer. Okay. Well, I have a copy of it here. We can put the PDF version of it up. Basically, what this graph is supposed to be showing is that in 2023, she's got the one from last time. In 2023, our revenues at the chamber, we were able to, last time we all had this conversation last year, and the year before, the feeling has always been that the funding that the city gives to the chamber is an investment. You guys there's problems that we want to work together to solve. There's initiatives that we want to work together to move forward. There's entities that need support, mainly our business community, and we're partners in that. And so the funds that you give us, this year we doubled those funds in complementary funds from the business community and from corporate sponsorships, from event revenue, and from services that we provided. So we did this, the things that we found to be really successful was creating impactful events that grow community vitality, providing meaningful support to businesses, generating innovative programs that propel Cordova forward, and having and growing a reputation of excellence that is positioning Cordova for growth. Next slide. And clearly the work of Cordova Chamber is being noticed. In the past year, we've received on the right side there some pretty big accolades for the work that we're doing, recognizes Cordova Chamber as the top performing chamber of commerce in the state of Alaska. That award has never been given to Cordova before, and it has never been given to a community of our size before. Always been given to larger communities. And the second, there is recognition within the chamber industry that we are performing at a level that is at the top of the industry, not only nationwide, but internationally. We also have been getting some good feedback from meeting planners that we've been working with and from the businesses that we're serving. Next slide, please. And while we're supporting Cordova's current needs and priorities, we're also looking toward the future, doing everything we can to hedge our bets, future-proof this place, so that our community and our businesses are prepared to take the fullest advantage of new opportunities that we may not even know are possibilities yet. And we do all this while guarding and protecting those things that make Cordova so special. Next. So looking ahead, we have a lot of exciting things on the horizon. We have been doing outreach to meeting groups and conference groups, and working with ones that have already started planning for the next 2 years out, and some even farther. We have been in contact with new expedition cruise ships that are interested in visiting Cordova and are on the calendar to be here this year. That visitation is increasing in a way that I think is going to be very beneficial to the community. And we also have growing interest and support for other industries that are important to Cordova. The telecom industry is getting some really great growth, as well as the Energy Cooperative, the Science Center, the Watershed Project. All of these entities are seeing really big leaps in their support and their programs, and lots to look forward to. One thing that I'm specifically excited about, next slide. Yeah, that's fine. That's a great one, actually. That's one thing I'm really excited about is the Business Gala that's coming up this Saturday night. I already kind of plugged it, but I hope if you're available to come, you can. One thing that I didn't mention yet that I think is pretty exciting is that we were able to partner with a local Girl Scout troop to provide childcare for this event. I think it's really important to support working parents these days, and I'm happy to be able to also benefit a local community group that needs funding to be able to offer childcare so that people can come into the Cordova Center, drop their kids off right in the education room, come on downstairs, enjoy the gala, and then pick them up and go home. Let's see, hopefully there's one more slide after this one. Yeah, that's another one I'm really excited about. So you guys may have heard me talking about regenerative tourism quite a bit over the past couple years, and I'm excited to move forward with a partner from Hawaii who is an expert in regenerative tourism. In the state of Hawaii, Mahi Jamshidi Kent, who is in the middle there, the shorter one, she has been really leading the way for that state to develop their regenerative tourism offerings, and it's been so successful that the state tourism board is looking to roll it out as kind of a statewide model in Hawaii. And they are partnered with Alaska Airlines, and so they were looking to expand this into Alaska, and they chose Cordova as the community to use as a pilot program for this because of the regenerative tourism destination strategy that we were able to use COVID-19 and kind of leverage those grant funds that we got through the state of Alaska tourism marketing to create that destination strategy. It really positioned us well to step in as this pilot program. And we also got funds from the Hershey Foundation, and we're partnering with Alaska Airlines, and we're developing lots more partners. We're going to be announcing details of the launch of this studio at our business gala. And we are hoping to roll this out and do it this winter and finish in the spring. So that's exciting. One of the things that we hope will come out of this is a stronger relationship with our partners over in Hawaii. We share a lot in common with them. The Hawaiian canoe, the Hokulea, that sailed up from Hawaii and stopped in Alaska last year, that really solidified in a lot of people's minds the fact that there is a strong connection there, especially the cultural connection, and we're going to be leaning into that and trying to really embrace ways for us to work together. It's going to be focused on Maui, which, as you know, just went through some devastating wildfires. So we're going to be talking about resilience and building back, and of course, who knows that better than Cordovans. So we're looking forward to partnering with them and hopefully coming through on the other side of this, both being stronger, more resilient, and with some new regenerative tourism offerings that have been built out and tested. And with that, thank you. And I'm happy to answer any questions that you guys have.
Questions from council?
Yes. I have a couple.
Okay,
Probably
is your mic on, Casey?
not close enough.
Okay.
So you mentioned additional cruises. Will you please speak to that? How many do we have this year? How many are we gonna have next year?
Could you forward to the next slide, please? So these are the expedition cruise visits that are on the calendar for 2024. So you see that the Hershey ones, there's 2 of them. Those 2 are the largest ones as far as the amount of passengers. And that's the same size boat as we serviced last year. Last year they came 3 times. This year they're coming twice. And then you see over on the right-hand side, towards the middle, there's 2 other from Hapag Lloyd that have 250 passengers. Again, the same amount of visits as last year. So really the new thing this year is the Lindblad National Geographic visits that are coming, and we have 10 of those. And those are a little less than 100 passengers each. And the cool thing is they're going to be doing turns in Cordova. That's an industry term that means that they're going to be actually utilizing the Alaska Airlines airport terminal to bring in their passengers into Cordova. They're going to be flying in, landing, and then they're going to be spending some time in Cordova before they get on their boat, go around the sound for a couple days, come back to Cordova, spend a little bit more time here, and then fly out. And from my connections to other communities. I'm told that turns are, tend to have even a little bit better economic impact on the community than traditional, port visits. There's also a possibility of uncruised coming in. You see them on the lower right hand. That's a smaller vessel, with only 36 passengers, but they could be coming up to 22 times. If they come in as much as they want to, and we're hoping to, then they'd be coming in once a week, every week, May through September. But that's small boat. And they would be looking to do a lot of excursions and a lot of hiking, and a lot of that would be self-led. But they have a really good reputation for spending a lot of time with passengers, exploring the local downtown scene and encouraging local spending.
Do you, off the top of your head, know what, like head taxes are in the different, or like what it ranges from in some of the different communities?
Yeah, so I've been doing a little research on this, and I've done some, so unfortunately, I have not been able to find any one source that has all of this information put together in one outlet. I've tried AML, I've tried the Travel Industry Association, I've tried the Cruise Line Industry Association, and none of them have it, so it's a lot of me doing individual outreach to each community to try to get their numbers. And I'm putting that together, and I'll be able to share a fuller picture with you guys, hopefully by your next meeting. But one thing I can say off the top of my head is in Southeast Alaska, which sees a lot more traffic. You can see the port fee or head tax as high as $10 a person. In other communities, they have $0 head tax. And there's kind of layers of this, because there's this other thing called CVP, which is the cruise vessel, or cruise vessel passenger tax, or CPV, I never remember. But this is a fee that cruise passengers pay to the state of Alaska, and then the state of Alaska portions that out to ports that they visit. There are conditions that are required for that to be paid out to you, and the conditions are that the vessel has to be 500 passengers or more, and they have to be, overnighting in Alaska waters. And so, for us, we may get it for Hurtigruten, but I'm not sure, because that's right at 500. So I'm not sure if that qualifies or not. But so a lot of communities may not charge a head fee because they're getting a lot of CDP funds. And the smaller communities that aren't getting those big boats, I think it's smart to have a head tax, because it just brings you up to the same level that the other communities are getting from having that built-in funding coming through the state.
Yeah, it's 25K,
Wouldn't hurt.
Do you have any kind of data as to what kind of money was spent in the community? Like, have you talked to any businesses that actually had money spent with them?
Anecdotal, yeah, so I have talked to some businesses that have had influxes from the visitors. I know for certain that there are at MBE and the Science Center and the couple companies that offered tours and excursions for those passengers did make a fair bit from them visiting. It was not an unsubstantial amount for them. As far as like Main Street businesses, I know that from what I understand, the museum and gift shop saw a lot of traffic from those visitors, and it was well located considering that a lot of the talks and stuff were happening downstairs. I know that the brewery saw folks. I know that the Netloft saw people come through, and Copper Fleece. I know there was bursts of activity down at the Reluctant on the deck there at certain times. We only had 5 visits last year. One of them was on a Sunday, another one was on a holiday. So it's kind of hard to tell just from that what we can expect moving forward. Looking at this schedule, there are 2 Sundays in there, and there is one holiday, which is 4th of July. And that's with National Geographic. They were hoping to come and just participate in the 4th of July activities happening at the grassy field. So, because a lot of businesses will be closed that day, I told them. So I'm in closer contact, and I'm hoping that we can, avoid those kinds of scenarios again. Oh, and one visit last year, they came from 7:30 AM to noon, which hard to do any business during that time frame. So. Oh, but sorry. It would be great if we could see sales tax numbers for those days. I know that your guys' sales tax numbers are reported to you on a quarterly basis. I don't know if it's possible to dive in and look at just certain like weekly periods. But I think that would be really helpful to get a fuller picture.
And at the end of business level, really.
Yeah. We just report quarterly, so.
Yeah.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
Yeah, that makes it difficult to say for sure. But we could, look on that quarter in 2023 versus that quarter in 2019, I guess. But even that's hard to compare because lots changed between now and then.
Any other questions?
Yep, I'm gonna speak to, so we have these crews, thank you for this information. It's
Yeah.
Great, everyone can see it and it's available to the community.
It's also on our website.
We have these people, I know I, for one, and maybe I'm just solo, was a little put off by just aimless people wandering around our community. What's your plan for, getting some excursions or supporting businesses to start up some excursions? So these people are actually enjoying in a sustainable way our community instead of walking around aimlessly.
Yeah, so as I mentioned earlier, we are launching a regenerative tourism impact studio with our partner in Hawaii. And so our plan is to launch, we'll open the application period for that in December or January. Launch that, let's select the applicants that are, that fit the criteria and launch that in February. There'll be a 6-week program, so that by, hopefully, the plan is that by Shorebird Festival, the first week of May, that we will have some brand new tour offerings that are built to have inherent positive, net positive impact in the community for visitors to partake in.
Thank you.
Anything else? Okay, thank you, Kathy, and congratulations on all the awards. And you're doing a good job over there. Thank you.
Thanks. Got a good team.
Okay, that brings us up to audience comments on agenda items. Please come up to the mic, state your name, address, and give us your comments.
Good evening. Takes a lot to be back in here, huh? Jim Cash, 824 Woodland Drive. I have a letter in the packet about batteries. It's been a problem for a long time, and what I'm asking is the city to, I guess for lack of better words, do your job. It is not my job to deal with the city's hazmat. I can recycle 90% of what's out there, automotive and industrial lead acid batteries. But the city's response has been any and all batteries, dump them in my backyard. Unacceptable. And then to top it off, someone within the city had the gall to call DEC on me. It is what I have. The best scenario back there, no, but it's what I got, what I do. I bring in 10 to 15 tons of batteries a year, and I send out 20 to 50 tons of batteries a year. I'm doing my part within my business to help the community out and recycle the batteries that I can. But the city's answer that it's not their job just doesn't cut it. So you can't do that. If the city winds up taking batteries, I'll take the batteries that I can, which would wind up being 90% of them, but the rest is on you. So that's the biggest thing. I'll gladly work with refuge department, teach them how to sort them out and tell them what's what, and I'll even go there and do it myself. I don't mind. But I should not be a sorting facility for this town's hazmat. So the other thing I'll have to say is it's time, I guess, for a finger wag. I don't think anybody in this town well, there's very few people in town who are as familiar with the city's financial woes as I am. But I don't think in the position that you're in, with the type of fishing season that we've had and the type of fishing season you're looking for in the future, you're not gonna be able to tax or revenue your way out of your pickle. It's a real bad public view when they see a bunch of new cars, city vehicles driving around, and here you're gonna go raise sales tax. Most of you probably remember, we had a split sales tax before, 3 and 6, 3 in the winter, 6 in the summer, and now we're at 6. Split sales taxes just don't work. It's a paperwork nightmare. Are you gonna get Amazon to do the split sales tax too? A lot of your business comes from online activities. I just don't think you're gonna tax your way out of it. What happened before is you saw a lot of fishermen who you're, I'm assuming, trying to get. They just brought stuff up with them instead of buying it in town. You're forcing people to shop out of town in the season where we need them to shop in town. They don't have any money. So increasing revenue with sales tax on money that they don't have and they're not gonna spend isn't going to help you. So that's what I have. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello, everyone. Bobby Sheridan, 610 Spruce Street. I just wanted to say that I'm a board member for the Chamber of Commerce. Really appreciate the city's support of the chamber. We as a family really like the event the chamber puts on. Really appreciated Kathy's presentation there. Also, I know in the packet, there is a letter from Sean Zanadel. I'm on the Alaskan Mariculture Alliance, or AMA Board of Directors. Taya Thomas of Cordova is also on AMA's board. She's the treasurer and the secretary. We could use all the help that we can get, and just wanted to say that I really support Sean and his approach to really engaging with and supporting mariculture here in Cordova and elsewhere. And then finally, I serve on the Harbor Commission, and we discussed cruise ship head taxes at our last meeting, and we'll be working with Kathy to really talk about that as a group. Could speak a little bit to that. So City of Valdez has had a 0% head tax rate and moving to $0 head tax rate. They're moving $3 a head, and Whittier has $5 a head. Cordova is now at $3 a head. So thank you very much. Just wanted to share that. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Alicia Cipher, 1014 Whiteshed Drive. My comments are in regards to correspondence from Fire Chief Robert Matson regarding incentive for volunteers in the fire department. I am one of 12 medics on our current ambulance schedule. I'm on call right now, and I will be for the next 3 weeks of nights, except for 6 exceptions. There are stand if you're a medic, 4 drivers. There are 6 other people here with that run on the current ambulance schedule with me. You can sit at some point. If you, odds are, if you call for an ambulance, there's a 50% chance you're gonna see one of those faces. And if you call for a fire call or a motor vehicle accident, likely you're gonna see all of our faces. Right now, there are 12 people handling all the EMS calls. That's every hour of the day, and there's 2 paid city staff. Being on call is a sacrifice that is easy for us to bear when we're on call once a month, if we want the experience, or once a quarter, which is more reasonable. But with this few volunteers, it becomes a burden, and we lose people due to burnout. Our volunteers also take on a level of stress and risk seeing things and cleaning up messes that no one else wants to see. Or no one wants to see. Our service is valuable, and right now we have a small but extremely good team that works very well together. And we've seen a lot together this year, and we need to build on what we have and not risk losing it. With paid on-call hours, more people can justify making this sacrifice to themselves and to their family. We live in an expensive world, and valuable services should be paid for, especially when it's a bargain for this valuable service to our city. And then I'll leave it to any of my fellow medics if they want to add a comment.
Thank you. Good job. Good job. Come on up.
Hello, my name is Marisol Yu. I am new to Cordova. So, thank you for having this. I am going out for the fire department as a volunteer. And when I learned about this, it just blew my mind. They're first responders. They should have to get some kind of incentive. They're saving lives. And I always say, put yourself and the other end. You need the 911 call. You don't want someone who's burned out or exhausted. They're here to save your lives as well. So it just blows my mind that a community such as Cordova, that is supportive, wouldn't invest in our first responders. So that's what I have to say. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other comments on agenda items? Once.
Boardwalk way, a little hard to go after that. But I agree with Jim Dash. You know, you guys are going after businesses. I lose sales now to people wanting stuff drop shipped to Anchorage, do away with sales tax, or have just competing with people from Washington. And you're gonna lose the cap. It's gonna hurt a lot of revenue. I would go 7%, leave the cap alone. See where it's at. You guys can get $1 million tomorrow, and next year you're gonna ask for 2. So. That's all I'm gonna say.
Thank you.
Thanks, sir.
Any other comments on agenda items? Okay, hearing none, then we go to chairpersons of boards and commissions. Anybody from CCMC here? School board, I think they're having a meeting tonight. Any other boards, reports? Seeing none. We'll council report. So the consent calendar is before you.
Just on that one item, Ann Schaefer,
Yeah.
Tom Baylor,
Yes.
Kristen Carpenter is absent, Kathy Sherman,
Yes.
Casey Kinson,
Yes.
Ken Jones,
Yes.
Wendy Rainey.
Yes.
The consent calendar is approved.
Okay, consideration business proposals, we don't have any. Reports of officers, mayor's report, I attended the sobriety this weekend, and we will be going to the Chambers Gala, this coming weekend. And, we'll probably go to AML. That first week of December, I need to decide for sure in the next couple of days.
Okay.
But again, I won't need housing. I don't have anything else to report. Questions? City manager's report, Sam.
Well, been working on a budget pretty much nonstop, among other public work things. I gave you an update on Helen, her return to work date is January 1st. Stuck with me for a while. And then other than that, I think just, if anybody has any questions, I'd certainly be happy to ask. Other than that, Colin has an update on Harbor.
With this, Helen Hill budget, we learned that the city manager has to be in Cordova to perform the job, according to our code, is that correct? Is that something we wanna look at for the future?
Is it a code or charter?
Charter,
It would have to be voted on, but yeah,
I mean, it might not
agree
hurt
with the
to
discussion.
talk about that, yeah, is that a pending agenda item?
Yeah.
Kind of might have to be finance director also. We haven't really had one on site in a while. Are those both in charter? They're charter.
We go back a few years, there was a city manager that didn't live here and that caused a lot of issues.
Yeah, I definitely like see the reason that you want them to be in Cordova, but I don't know, just to allow some flexibility now that it's 2023.
Same issue, same issue.
Yeah, Yeah.
So
We're
we'll
talking-
bring it up at any agenda
Yeah.
if somebody wants to. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, Colin, good evening. South Harbor project summary as of yesterday is probably most current here. So demolition has begun. We went from demolition light for a couple weeks while we awaited some permits, some other administrative hoops we had to jump through. But now we're at full demolition, removing floats, and that should go on for about another 2 weeks with the subcontractor. And then once Turnigan arrives, they'll do the heavy lifting of pulling main walks and pulling piles. So right now, we've removed a total of 382 finger floats, various parts and pieces, wire and other appurtenances, as they're called. And we've got about 375 still to go. So we're chipping away, small crew, bad weather. You can only do what you can do, but I think they're doing a pretty good job. I think all of us, Turnigan and consultants we have, everybody's pretty satisfied. They're doing the best they can, and they're doing a good job. Design, 100% design set is complete. We're anticipating issuing for construction plans probably in the next week or so, based on a conversation we had today. Permitting, all good things. So our environmental assessment is completed and approved. MARAD's work, FONSI, that shows the finding of no significant impact, environmental issues with the harbor. The overall NEPA process, that's completed and approved. Corps of Engineers, section 404 and 408 permits are approved. Alaska Department of Environmental Conservation, section 401, that's completed and approved. The only outstanding one we have is the Fish and Wildlife Service Otter IHA. We're about halfway through a 30-day public comment period. That will wrap up on December 6th, and it should take about a week for them to turn that around. The issue with the Otter IHA is it doesn't hold up construction. You might say, then why do you need it? Well, you need it because without it, you shut down construction. If an otter violates your zone, and the zones are different for different portions of the harbor, it's complicated. However, we can still do construction and demolition of any kind. We're just not allowed to take. And take is really, are you harassing or displacing marine mammals? So if they come into that zone without the permit, we have to stop until they leave. With the permit, we're allowed a certain amount of take, which is harassing, displacing. So until we get that, we can't take on our tally. We have like several hundred bits of take, which means you can displace or harass several hundred otters. Until we get that, we can't harass them. So if they come into the zone, we stop completely. Once we have the permit, they come into the zone, our protected species observers check off, take until we reach our maximum amount. So we can still do everything we need to do, but we don't have take. It just becomes a bit clumsier. Now it's clumsy anyways, because we get 5.5 hours of daylight and we can't work in the dark. So we'll do the best we can, but that's not gonna hold anything up. It just could be a challenge if we have a lot of otters swimming around. We do have a lot of otters around right now, but once we start moving boats, perhaps they'll be gone. I don't know, we'll see. So anyways, all good things. And we'll know by mid-December on that last one, and I suspect with every other one falling in place, that shouldn't be a problem either. Any questions on any of those things so far? Okay, funding, 15.2 million spent to date, 3 million in outstanding invoices, 1.3 million in pending reimbursements, 22.5 million remaining funds. We have increased our funding since we signed the contract by 1.1 million roughly. So we got $750,000 Denali grant, and we were able to recoup our tier 1, it's called an ICAP tax. That was $343,500. So those two together just puts us over 1.1 million more dollars than we had when we started. So that's a good thing. We've already spent 400,000 of that in 2 change orders. One was the change order to add more 32-foot finger floats. The other change order was for electric metering. And it just cost us more to put in the meters, the smart meters, the upgraded, the better meters that will serve the harbor long term. And that doesn't require meter reading. So that was 200 grand. And
the 2 floats for 200 grand, so it's $400,000. So we spent a little bit of it, but we have increased our budget a little bit. So anyways, vessel relocation, we're just about done, or we've moved probably 90%, Tony, 90% or so.
You went home.
Oh, you went home, okay. About 90% have been moved. We've got a few that still have not moved yet, but we have some work to do on the travel lift. So once that's complete, then those boats will move. Those are the big ones, but we've got everybody accounted for. We haven't had to tap into any of those extra storage areas that we thought we would, so it's actually gone really well, especially once we removed the finger floats on A and B on the North Harbor. So that's a good thing. Southwest corner of the harbor is closed for construction. That's going well. It's cordoned off appropriately, and we've been moving floats to the landfill. So road closures on Nicolot, that's all pending the process, of our construction. So, and we'll just be communicating that out as we close those down, but it shouldn't be too much. Everything is, towards the water side of Nicolot. And that's where we're at. We anticipate having Turnagain on scene here on the 5th of December to start the heavy lifting demolition and to start putting floats in place and start digging on the string side. So, any of your questions? That's wonderful. Yes.
How are you feeling on the timeline at this point?
Pretty good. I think realistically, we'll still be able to put boats in slips by mid-April. I don't know where we're gonna be with Nicolot, with the street side stuff, with parking. And I don't know where that's gonna take us with services on the docks, really electricity and water. That's not that big a deal, just you potentially won't have electricity and water, firefighting capability, but we won't have electricity and water until June 15th, and that's always been the case. That may go deeper into the summer, I just don't know. So, but I do feel strong, and that's based on conversation with Turnagain, that we'll have everything in place. Should we not have every float in place by then, what we'll end up doing is putting people back in the way we pulled them out. And just go on a priority list of, if you're working, if you're fishing, if you've got a business that you've got to run and you need your slip, you'll have first priority, whereas recreational boats will not. So that's probably the best plan we have right now. And that should buy us some time to get some stuff done. But as far as right now, the mid-April, everything in place, it looks pretty good. That's good.
Your question? I have a question, Colin, on so you said we've gotten 1.1 extra revenue. And you spent 400,000 of that already roughly. Is that all in a contingency for other change orders, or does it reduce the city's $4 million commitment that we made in addition?
It really depends, because if we have change orders that we have to do, as in, we have no nice to do's or want to do's anymore. I mean, every dollar is spent on nuts and bolts and personnel and labor. If there's something that comes up that is gonna cost the city, that's where that money's gonna come from. If at the end, we end up with $700,000-800,000 that we didn't have, that will come off the top of the 3.89 million that the city put out early on. So that money is spoken for one way or another. It's but we don't have any anticipated costs right now, but that goes. So,
okay, I asked that question because we're looking at budget, and we gotta come up with another $3 to $4 million by June.
Right.
In order to pay for that project, so, that needs to be taken into account when we're doing our budget.
Yeah, that was my question too, but there's needs and wants, and if there's a want that does come up, somebody's putting pressure on to spend that 500,000, how does that process, who determines that? Like, if we're going outside of what we've already got planned, or you're just not gonna do it?
Well, it certainly wouldn't be up to me to spend that money.
Would it come back up?
It would really, it would need to, unless.
Anything over $25,000.
It's gotta go through. I mean, Harbor Commission would have a take on it, I'm sure, and then you folks would as well, but that's not something, now, we may have be forced to just spend it, and it'll be pro forma to go through and say, well, we gotta spend it, because here's where we find ourselves.
Right.
But there will be there's no adders, as they say, that, you know, we're gonna paint and add this or add that, you know, that we want. It's gotta be unique.
Wants and needs.
Yeah,
Sorry, thank you.
that's the situation. The one thing I'll say is that, our grant agreement with MARAD is not in place yet. I had a conversation with them today about that process. I think reimbursement is cumbersome, but they did inform me that they pay within 30 days. So that is very surprising to me. But we don't have a grant agreement in place. Challenge with that is we can't get any money from them until we get a grant agreement in place, even though we're allowed to spend several $1 million, maybe it's $5 or $6 million that they will give us retroactively for things we've spent for design, demolition, and construction. But we can't get that money yet. So until we get that grant agreement in place, that $20 million is still hung up on us. So the challenge with that is we're spending money as fast as we possibly can of our own money and our other grant money. That money's running out fast. And like I said, we're $3 million behind in invoices right now. And I don't say this to scare you, I just to tell you exactly where we are with this. Had we not spent all that money as fast as we did, we might be flush with cash, but we couldn't start construction because we wouldn't have bought those long lead items and cut the pile and build the floats and all that stuff. So, you know, when you're this aggressive on a plan and you leave without permits, without grant agreements and all these things that we've known all along, this is where you end up, where the money is running out, although it's there. We still have a couple months worth of invoices that we haven't paid yet. So we've got some good grace from our contractor and their subs to buy us some time, but you know, until we get that grant agreement in place, that $20 million is just out there.
So what's the process on that grant agreement is it just the speed of government, or is it?
Well, it is. We're down to I think we're down to the final draft, and we should be getting it soon, but you know, we've been told that for a month now on all manner of processes, be it permits or grant agreements. So, you know, if I were to say, if I had a crystal ball, I'd say we'll have a grant agreement by January 1st. I think that's very conservative. That's pushing it as deep as what I suspect we'll get. So, but I would say by January 1st, we'll have a grant agreement in place. What that means is we've got 3 million in unpaid invoices, and that's not counting November and December. So we could be as much as potentially talking to the contractor, 5 million behind before we even really start getting that MARAD. So it's just something to think about. And right now, I don't think that's a line of credit yet, because I think, like I said, they're willing to carry us for a little while, and they have been, just because they're a good, you know, they know we're a good vet and we've been working well with them. But that's where we're at financially, just so you guys fully understand what we're doing. And there was no way around it, because you had to buy and build and get ready. Otherwise, we were gonna not meet the April date because we just wouldn't have the place. But now we have the place, we have the pile, we have all the stuff. We just have to wait for the contracts to catch up. So it's not all good news, it's some bad news, but that's it.
Thank you for your report. Any questions for Colin? Okay, thank you, Colin.
Thank you.
The clerk's report.
I don't have anything to add to this one.
We've got it plenty.
Can we get some correspondence? Comments or? You on that? Do pending agenda things that we can talk about on that. Nothing, comments?
Let them understand the situation, where we got the money.
Yeah, I think there's a couple of things maybe we want to put.
At pending agenda,
At
we'll
pending
talk.
agenda, we'll discuss that further, not that we're ignoring it, we appreciate the letters and it's just not on there for discussion yet tonight, so we'll get them on there for discussion or action in future. Okay, ordinances and resolutions. Ordinance 1210, an ordinance of the council of the city of Cordova, Alaska, amending Cordova Municipal Code section 5.0.010 and 5.0.030 to increase the sales tax rate from 6% to 7% and increase the cap on taxable sales and services from 3,000 to 10,000 and revising language in both sections to clarify the scope and application of Cordova sales tax and exemption from it. First reading.
So moved.
Second.
The movement seconded. Before we get into too much discussion on this, as you recall, at the last meeting, we asked for four ordinances to separate these items in the cap items being either 5 or 10, and the tax rate being either seasonal or straight up increase. So we amended the agenda to add ordinance 1212, which deals with the cap. So I would suggest that on 1210 and 1211, I would suggest an amendment first to remove the cap portion of that ordinance so that we can just deal with the sales tax issue, but that's certainly up to council. So anyway, that's my comments on that. Maker the motion, Tom Bailiff.
Yeah, I guess I'd amend the motion to increase the sales tax rate from 6% to 7% year round.
Need to remove the cap portion of that. It's been moved. For a second.
Second.
Been moved and seconded. Councilman Bailiff.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess I would support the 7% sales tax.
We're on the motion to remove that.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Yep.
Any other questions on the removal of the cap part? Okay, all those in favor of removing the cap from that ordinance, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? The motion carries. Okay, now we're at a motion to increase the sales tax from 6% to 7% year round. Councilman Bailey.
Yeah, what I've discussed with several businessmen, they could support at least the 7%. So we can start with there for discussion.
Okay, Councilman Schaefer.
I was gonna make one more comment.
Oh, yeah, go ahead.
To a business person, none of them wanted to split, so they all were saying, if you're gonna have to do it, which we don't wanna do it, but it seems like we're way under budget here, the 7% year round is what I would support.
Okay, Councilman Schaefer.
Yeah, I guess the thing I'm still struggling with is, I mean, we obviously need to raise revenue, generate some revenue. But I still just like don't have a clear understanding of the magnitude of the, like, what the actual magnitude of the deficit is, because this is, we were presented with budgets of, like, this is what ideally what we would get, but like, there could be some, I think, strategic, savings done. So yeah, it's, for me, I'm just having a hard time, thinking about what revenue generation, like, route to go down without, like, actually understanding the scope of the problem. But yeah, we obviously need to raise money, but just how and how much and where will depend on what the gap is.
And I would say, I would agree with you there, but I think we're at a position, even if we cut and we see how much revenue this would bring in, we're just putting out a fire. We're just trying to pay the bills. We're just trying to budget for something. None of this really even shows us putting any money on savings. So if we raise revenue, we cut costs, and maybe that allows us an opportunity to put some money aside for things that come up. Things are going to come up. Things we need to pay for, things that break down, things that aren't budgeted for, because they're going to happen because they happen every year, so.
Yeah, I guess I would have a comment on the magnitude of it. It's $3 to $4 million plus 1.3 at this point in time, so that's $4 to $5 million that we're in the hole in 2024. So we have to do a lot of cutting and some revenue.
Going back to, continuing on what I was saying is, what's difficult for me is not seeing a fee schedule and what potential revenue could be coming in from that. That's probably where I have the more hard time with. I mean, yeah, we're, whether it's 3 million or 4 million, I mean, we've established, we actually have a deficit. Some of the things where I think there's opportunities are for users of services, and which includes everyone, to be paying more appropriately for those services. And I am personally am in favor of charging more for a service instead of a blanket, let's just raise property tax, or let's just raise something that everyone uses. And I would rather see, if you're going to use a harbor, then you're going to pay more for the harbor. If you're going to have sewer and water, you're going to pay more for sewer and water. It just, I mean, things just fluctuate year over year. Everyone knows everything costs more. Unfortunately, it just is the fact of life. So, that, I guess that's where I would like to have seen, more information on.
Okay, anybody else? Councilmember Rainey?
I talked with a couple businesses and they just, I reiterate, prefer the single raise across the board instead of trying to negotiate a split.
Councilmember Jones?
Yeah, I don't support the split. Don't really like it, but we're at this impasse. And if we're gonna do it, I'd rather see us raise from 6 to 7 and not do the cap raise and not do the seasonal. And don't want to raise property tax. I think this broadens the hit out to everybody in the community, not just those who own property, or not just trying to hit the fishermen with personal property tax like we discussed in the workshop. So for those reasons, I'll support it begrudgingly. Thanks.
Okay, thank you. Councilmember Sherman?
Sure. I don't like math, but I've been doing math all day, and I'd like to see a couple of things. I'm in favor of the 7% year round. I don't think we should split. Most of the people I talked to felt the same way. Regarding the shortfall, this is a process that we're going to move forward with, including these ordinances. I would really like to see where we stand with all our savings. I know the staff is working on that, but that's a piece that we need to see what's in the permanent fund, what we have. So I'd really like to see that come forward. I know we're not supposed to, I think we're not doing fee schedule until January, but that's difficult because it's a piece that we kind of need now. I would like to see the budget that we have now in front of us go back to city staff. I would like to go forward with the 7% increase. That would add us potentially about $625,000. We could raise $500,000 and do the sales tax. We could do a sales cap, raise $100,000, and that still leaves, you know, there's got to be some cuts in the city budget, no matter how we work it. It could be $500,000 in cuts in the city budget or less than that, depending on what we do. And so we have to do something. And this is part of the process, and we'll move forward and see where we're at. I still need some more information. I still have a lot of questions, but I'm in favor of the 7% year round for now.
Okay, thank you. Round two, anybody? Are we ready to vote? This is first reading, so we will have a public hearing and another vote at our next meeting.
And that, thank you for that, because that goes back to Ann's concern too, is we all want to see where we're at and but this starts the process. So yes, I'm
Yeah, I know staff is working on trying to figure out where our balances are and where money is and what's allocated and what's not allocated. And Without a finance director, that's not an easy process, but I think they're gonna come up with something close anyway. That's where
Thanks, Colin. I'll support this and if not anything else to get it going to public comment period on this and with some public here and with hopefully some listening or reading or will read. If you don't support 7%, come to us with what you do support and how we're gonna make up this money, okay? So to just complain and say you don't want to pay it, I can understand that. I don't wanna pay it. But come with something that you can show us. And we're humans just like you, we're volunteering to be here, so if you want something different, bring it to the table. For you to just come here or to make comments to me that you don't like it and out of one side of your mouth and then have nothing constructive to say, that's unacceptable. So come to the table with what you would like to see and what you're willing to pay, because clearly we all love living here, we want to live here and we want these services, but these services cost money. So that's my only.
Hey, are we ready to go?
Can I just say one thing about the fee schedule? Our plan was to bring the fee schedule at the next budget work session, which is on November 29th. We'll talk about a pending agenda. So, and that will be passed at the same time as the budget, usually.
Yeah.
Thank you, Susan.
Yeah, thank you for that.
Okay, voice vote on this, we ready to vote? All those in favor of ordinance 1210? Say aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carries. Okay, that will be on our next agenda. Please come with your comments if you agree or disagree with that. We want to hear your comments either way. Ordinance 1211.
You don't do that one.
Well,
We need to vote to dismiss it.
we either, if nobody makes a motion in the next 10 seconds, I will say dies for lack of a motion. How about that?
That's fine.
Okay, hearing nobody making a motion on that, we will call ordinance 1211 dead. Ordinance 1212, an ordinance of the council of the city of Cordova, Alaska, amending Cordova Municipal Code, section 5.40.030 to increase the cap on taxable sales and services from 3,000 to 10,000. First reading.
So moved.
Second,
Been moved and seconded, Councilmember Baylor.
Yeah, after a little bit of thought and discussion with people, I would probably rather have the discussion at 5,000 than 10,000. So I'll yield to the next person.
Is that a motion to amend to 5,000?
Yeah, I'll make that motion, see if it's support.
second,
Is been moved and seconded to amend it to 3,000 up to 5,000. Councilmember Baylor.
Yeah, 3,000, yeah. Yeah, that's my motion.
Yep, it's your comment time. You want to?
No, I'm good.
Okay, Councilmember Schaefer?
I've spoken to a few people about this and the rationale behind moving the 5,000 into the 10,000 is, at $5,000. I can't remember, there's math involved, but it's still, cheaper, or it's more affordable potentially to purchase items here in town rather than put your truck on the ferry and go to Anchorage and, get the items in Anchorage. So it was still just like a equivalent or just below a ferry ticket price, which kind of made sense to me. Just keeping business in town, so I'm supportive of that.
Okay. Councilmember Rainey.
Yeah, I don't support the 10,000, but I'll support the 5.
Okay, Councilmember John.
Yeah, I don't support 10. I don't really support the 5 either. I'd like to see us leave it unchanged. We just raised $625,000 in new revenue. I think we can make up the difference in cuts. And the 7%, the action we just took is going to raise the amount on every capped sale already. So we already raised more revenue from cap sales. And this $350. If we raise it to 5,000, it'll be $350. I can get my truck on the ferry for less than that for a one-way to Anchorage. Maybe it's a little less than a round trip. So, yeah, it is gonna drive sales out of town. I mean, even the existing taxes drive sales out of town already. And we've heard that from the business community multiple times. So I would like to see us leave it unchanged, so I'll be voting no.
Yeah, the motion is for 3 to up it to 5,000. I don't know if that was clear. I think you kind of alluded to that it was 10,000, but the motion is to go from 3,000 to 5,000. You know, Councilmember Kinsman?
Yeah, I'll be in favor of this. I think, again, just going back to goods, services, everything costs more and, needs to be paid for. So it's, I think that coupled with, the verbiage in here for, I guess, stricter rules around what qualifies. I'm still leery of that because I don't have a warm fuzzy that we have enforcement on that, but, with some enforcement, and going to the 5,000, I think we're in a place, meaning that we can leave this for years to come. Where did we decide for 3,000? How long have we had 3,000?
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Councilmember?
Less than 5 years.
No, I wrote it in the ordinance.
Councilmember Sherman?
It's voted on right here.
I'm in support of the motion.
What's on the floor right now is the amendment to go from 3 to 5.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yeah.
8 years, it's 8 years, sorry.
No, thank you.
Councilmember Baylor?
Yeah, so I think we just, we're in a hole, we know that, and everybody on council and the community, they're all talking about, well, let's put fish tax on a box, put fish tax on a box. Well, it's hard to do a fish tax on a box, there's ways of getting around it. My thought process is by raising this cap, is let's get the people that are coming here to catch the fish. Let's get $10 a piece from them, and by jumping this cap up a little bit, you do that. Now, the lawyer did say that we can have, and correct me if I misheard her, but we can have different caps for different things. And so if we move this forward, and I would say this to the marine industry, if they can come in and make a good argument about, and I've spoken about this before, about their high cost items, their engines and things like that. You start talking about $40,000 per stuff. We'll come to us and let's have that discussion. But if somebody comes in and buys, 3 cases of oil and gas, well, I'm sorry, it's gonna be under that cap. But I think those large items like that, we would be open for that discussion, I would think. I think we're probably gonna end up having some discussion on house packages or something. So there's ways to do that, and then with our code revisions, hopefully we tighten up some of these things. I don't think people realize, people that aren't in the tourism industry, I mean, everybody benefits from it, but they're in it and going about their daily life, maybe they work for the city or the schools or something like that. They don't realize there's people going down here getting a tax break buying groceries because they got a bed and breakfast or something, or we're losing a lot of tax revenue, and it's not fair to everybody. And that's our goal, is to try to clean that up, make it fair for everybody, and then along with cuts, hopefully we don't have to tax too much more.
Okay, are we ready to, did everybody get to speak? I think so, yeah. Okay, let's vote on the amendment to change it from 3 to 5. All those in favor of the amendment, say aye.
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 Opposed?
Aye.
Did he oppose?
Yes.
With 5-1.
Okay, so the main motion is now on the floor, ordinance 1212, changing it from 3 to 5. Any further discussion? Yes, Councilman Schaefer.
Yeah, I guess at this point, I'm still having just like not having all of the information, but like we said, it's first starting the public process, so I'm in favor of it, just to, start the process and get more feedback.
I think you're reading all of our minds. We're all thinking the same thing.
I'm not necessarily sold on it, but
Yeah.
at least we can start
Yeah.
Yeah.
working on it if we get more information.
Yeah, for the public's information, are all ordinances, we have to have 2 readings and a public hearing. And the first reading is oftentimes just to get it out so the public sees that it's an official recommendation from council, and we want to hear comments.
Yeah.
So at the next meeting, come to the public hearing or the actual meeting, and if you're totally against it or totally for it, give us your comments. So that being said, all those in favor of ordinance 1212 as amended, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
Finished business, we have none.
Well, we do.
Well, we get a lot of unfinished business, but no miscellaneous business.
I couldn't fit it all in there.
Council recommendation to the ABC board for renewal of liquor license number 61 and 62, Hanging Wings, DBA, Anchor Bar, and Liquor Store. There's probably a motion in the packet, huh?
I'll move to recommend renewal of the liquor license of 61 and 62 with the, conditions outlined on page 28.
Second that.
Is one to second, Councilman Faber.
It sounds like the business owners they're in contact and they're trying to make things right. They seem amenable to mitigating the situation, and we don't want to lose the liquor license. So it'd be great if that business could be sold and those licenses could remain in town, so.
Councilman Baylor?
No, that'll do it. Thank you. I'll pass on comment.
Councilmember Rainey?
Yeah, I mean, who's gonna enforce the conditions? So we say this goes forward and the lights are still off on that bar, what happens then?
And do we put a lien on buildings or anything like that when we know they're gonna sell it, but they owe us a bunch of money?
No, but a title search will get done, and if they'll see that they owe property tax for sure. As far as past due utilities, there's less of a hammer. And what you've done, if this motion passes, is, on February 15th, if they're not paid in full per this motion, I'm gonna call the ABC board, and they're going to, not renew that license, or not allow that license to be effective. I don't know, there's waivers for a lot of things at the ABC board, so if he never opens in 2023, I think they can still get a waiver for that.
And if we don't, this license goes away from Cordova.
That is the fear, because yes, we have too many licenses for the population, and so elsewhere where you can just sell them, if one doesn't get, renewed or revoked or whatever by the ABC board, yeah, it leaves Cordova.
So, I'm sorry, could you repeat, so if this passes, there's recourse, you say, if the city doesn't get the money? Is that,
I mean,
call the ABC board and.
Yeah, if you guys, I put that date in there, that was me just picking a 3-month out date, you can change that if you want. But, this is public information also, so if they're looking for a buyer, number one, the property tax will get paid before closing, or come out of the proceeds or whatever. And as far as the utilities, if a new owner realizes that, the ABC board might hear something from us, and he wouldn't even be negotiating for an actual license, so. I think it's a pretty strong hammer
Yeah.
for the guy to get come clean on their hands.
Councilmember Sherman?
Yeah, I'm in favor of it, and I like the way that the clerk made the arrangements for us. I think it covers us, and yet we're still kind of helping the owner because it would be good to see them be able to sell the business and not lose the liquor license for our community.
Councilmember Jones.
Yeah, I'll support it for the reasons already stated.
Thank you, Councilmember Kinsman.
Yeah, I guess I want to go back to like ABC. If you're saying that we have too many licenses in our community, then what I guess that. Yeah, I know you're not on, but with that go, we're talking about permits and waivers. We have too many. Would that go and say, well, you actually have too many, we're not gonna issue a waiver if they don't even use it at all next year?
I don't know, we haven't used this process very often, I would say, and
I think they're grandfathered in if they keep current.
Yes.
yeah, as a matter of fact, we may have used this in 2019 with them, they had a big sales tax past due. We got them on monthly sales tax, and they made it good. But we allowed them to stay open to make it good, you know what I mean? That's not gonna be the case this time, because there's also the thing that says, the fire marshal, if they try to go open, they have to still get the Paul or get with the state fire marshal and figure that part out to make that safe. But it doesn't sound, you know, he had written a letter that council got, and there were copies on the side for the public if they wanted to see, but
Yeah, I would be.
it doesn't sound like he's trying.
Doesn't sound like he's trying to get out of it.
And that was actually my number one question. I would not be in favor if he was trying to open his current facility. What it is. That would not be anything I would support at all, but if he's trying to sell it, they're trying to sell it, I can understand that and appreciate that, so.
Okay, round two, anybody? It's a voice vote.
It can be, yeah.
So all those in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Okay,
Ken
pending-
was a yes, right?
Yeah,
Yeah, he said it.
He said he was, yeah.
Yeah.
pending agenda, CIP list, calendar, like to the appointed office, officials list. Have we had many apply for those?
Oh my gosh, please mention that, I forgot. No, I mean, some, we have a few, but we're supposed to do it at the December 6th meeting, so. There are board and commission seats coming up on all of the city boards and commissions, they're in the back of every council packet. Anybody can call me, email me, ask me questions, or go to a department head who runs a board or a commission. To ask questions, or somebody who's on the board or commission. And it would be great to have more interested people. Okay, I have about 15 other things, little sticky notes for pending agenda. So to, accomplish the ordinance, before the first of the year, we were thinking of having a special meeting on November 29th for the second reading. We also have to do a contract with Sam as, interim city manager at that time, so that would be 2 items for a special meeting. And then we will go into have a work session that night as well.
What night is this?
November 29th.
But we'd have to have a public hearing at night too.
Yes, public hearing first. What order do you wanna do them in? You know what I mean? Because I guess we can,
Well, I would say the workshop and then
okay,
public hearing and then the meeting, it shouldn't take too long.
No.
Can we have that packet out or at least several days before the meeting and not the day before the meeting, because it's a
I know,
final reading and we
except that it's a
we want
holiday
public
week
output.
and like none of us are here. I was thinking I wasn't getting it out. It was maybe gonna be out on the Monday before Wednesday. Do it on Thursday or Friday that week also instead.
I just don't want to surprise.
I know. Well, that is the dilemma with a second reading at a special meeting.
Yeah.
It's up to you guys, we can do it on December sixth, but I can see about getting that packet out earlier, I guess.
One day off.
Yeah, because I,
I mean,
No,
if
it's
it's
six.
the order.
yeah,
I wonder if
that's,
we could do it before.
yes, I think we can, I think we can. We can probably get it out on.
Like a Wednesday.
Probably.
We'll do,
Tina's cursing me right now.
are you not?
I'm not gonna be here, but it'll get done. It's two small items.
Yeah, we can do it.
It's the work session items that might not be until Monday.
That's right, that's fine, I just want to,
Okay,
we're gonna vote on to be final, I would like to as much,
okay.
community opportunity as we can.
And you agree we'll do 5 p.m. work session, if we have to recess it,
Yep.
we can have the special at 7. Public hearing at 7, the special meeting right after.
AML training that day goes to 4:30.
Are you aware? Where?
It's a Zoom.
It's the Zoom, okay, so good,
And then the 6th, the week of the 6th is AML. So-
Yeah.
I know. Are we going to pass the budget on the 6th or the 20th?
Great question.
Sounding like the 20th, right?
Yeah, I was six,
We
yeah.
have a lot to do. A lot to figure out.
But at the next work session, I think. Well, you're gonna talk to staff about what they can pare down, so we'll show general fund again with revenues and expenses. I don't know if you want us to adjust revenues based on the ordinance that you only passed on one reading?
Yes, please, or at least as an optional number.
Well, we can
Okay.
use revenue, I mean, we have the packet, this, what
Yeah.
current is, we can show potential.
Add the 6.5.
Yeah.
And then we'll bring the fee schedule, are you gonna try and push and do
We're doing that.
enterprise funds too? No,
Well, that's, yeah, I mean, it's all.
that's a lot.
Yeah, I mean, I'll make an effort. I'm not, can I make an effort and not promise?
Or maybe Tony will be able to do Harvard and not the other.
Yeah, he's not here to volunteer now.
Yeah, for him.
Yeah.
I think we're probably looking at the 20th as the final level.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay.
You got me, Sam.
Next thing.
Okay, what, well, those were 7 stickies for the same thing, because I definitely didn't want to forget. What about the, correspondence? Did you, anything you want to?
I'd like to talk about the EMT
Yep.
volunteer for the
Yep.
fire department.
Yep, absolutely, I will second that.
Is that during our work session that we can just talk?
I mean,
about?
yeah, absolutely. Do you just want
Yeah, but we were just
There's no-
seeing if we wanted it on the agenda, and I think we do at some point.
Yeah.
to, oh,
As well as, I think,
We doing pending agenda, huh?
yes, we're doing pending agenda. We're-
You're already in Florida.
Yeah. Well, good, cause I got one to go on there, so.
Well, so is
Get
that
that.
on a workshop?
We wanna do that.
On an, as an
Yeah.
agenda item?
Yeah, I mean, you don't really need an agenda item if you're just gonna talk about
but
funding it or not funding it.
I think we
Putting
need
it in
to
a budget.
add that discussion to our budget discussion.
Yeah, okay.
I think the batteries as well.
Yes, because I'm gonna.
Well, can Sam answer the batteries
Yeah.
thing?
Well, she's got an answer, yeah.
Yeah, so I have,
Deep breath.
so we at the refuse department do take all other batteries. We do direct people to Napa for the lead acid batteries. As I have talked to the crew and they have not received any direction that we were not supposed to be sending people to Napa. That's the way we've always done with lead. We collect the power tool lithium ions, we ship that out with our hazardous waste. I called Ivy today, they are still accepting household batteries. I don't know if y'all remember this, but last year we had talked about putting a fee on to collect batteries. We worked it out with Jim. He needed a place for dark storage. We stored the batteries over the winter. We collected some over the winter. We brought them back to him in pallets when he asked for them. I'm not sure what's going on down there, but we'll put a fee and we'll collect them if that's what you all want, if that's what we wanna do.
Maybe we could just have a discussion, maybe the manager can have a discussion with.
Make
Mr.
sure we're all
Cash
on
down
the
in Napa
same page.
and see what we can work out.
Okay.
See what we need to do to work it. We're business partners with every business in this town and we have to do our part as well sometimes.
And I wanna find the balance too of, I don't wanna see these just in the dumpster.
Right,
either.
yeah.
And whatever that fee, I understand the fee is gonna cost money, but I also, like I said, wanna make sure they're disposed of properly. So,
People can communicate with the refuse
Right.
supervisor or the public works director
We gotta work out.
before a letter to council.
Yeah.
And I don't think she heard from it.
Yeah, I'm not putting blame on anybody, I'm just saying. That we ought to be able to work it out with a conversation instead of. Our old stuff. Anything, what did you have, Tom?
Well, I'd like to get our investment funds on the agenda, UBC to transfer over. Specifically, I'd like council to consider giving the mayor authority to speak with whoever it is we're transferring to, see what's gotta be done to make this happen. Maybe something happened behind the scenes that I don't know about, but we could potentially be losing $100,000 with a company that we basically fired. I don't know if we're getting our best effort from them, so the money's just sitting there. You think about it, you could pull all that money out of that, put in a 5.5% interest bearing account right now with no issues. What's going on with our money? We have no idea.
Maybe we can get an update from the manager.
Well, I feel like that, put it on the agenda and
Right, yeah.
let's get this thing
As part of
going.
that, we need to know where we stand, because we've already approved the transfer.
Right, and I'd like to hear from the company that we're transferring from. You know, it's a simple matter, basically, the company that we're transferring from is calling them up, say, look, we want you to be our person, what do we need to get this transferred from? They will tell you, they will say, this paperwork's gotta be filled out, X, Y, and Z, do that, do this, it happens. I mean, I've done this. It needs to happen, we've been waiting too long.
Okay, anything else for Ben?
Is that an agenda item of any kind, or is that just?
Yeah, UBC and,
It's UPS.
PBS.
yeah, excuse me, and specifically, given the mayor authority, I don't know if we can do that, to speak with them to transfer, or direct the city manager, acting city manager, but it needs to happen.
I will, yeah,
You
I
got
don't
a lot
even
on your
know.
plate, so I didn't wanna put you in.
Yeah, well,
Well, but I don't think the
Just put it
mayor.
as
we
an
can't have
agenda,
the mayor.
so no, I just put it on the agenda as the UBS transfer thing, so you can get an update for us. And then if that's
Right.
all it is
I'll take care of it.
quick discussion, if she finds out that she needs some kind of authority to do something, then it will be on the agenda.
Okay.
Then we can give that.
Got it.
Who we're going to? I don't see that's the problem.
Okay, anything
Money
else?
sitting in limbo land.
Yes, Councilman Schaefer.
It's still.
I'd like to appoint Sean Nagle as
Thank
the
you.
city representative to the Alaska Agriculture.
I can second that. I don't know if that's agenda item or if we just do that now.
Well,
That
I
looks like.
think it needs to be an agenda.
Okay.
Okay, let's put it on the special meeting agenda then.
Except we never really got the skinny on our membership in that organization and.
Well, we're members of the organization.
And we get a
And we
representative,
have-
I was waiting to hear from them. Like, do they have an executive director? Is anybody still here?
No, I took off.
I think we do. Yeah, that's an executive director.
Yeah, they were going through some
Okay.
changes and our
Okay.
representative was.
Does it have
Had
to
a
be
conflict somewhere.
immediately? Can this wait a little bit?
Right.
Yeah, it could,
I don't need, I don't know that it needs to be a
Okay.
discussion, but I would agree with you to get it on the agenda.
anything else? Councilman, the number was that it?
Yeah, I was gonna speak for that. I was just going through correspondence to make sure we're addressing what's on there. I know we're talking about funding, but I'm still gonna, at least in one of our workshops, where that's even tonight, we talked about, additional police officer. Still something that we want to discuss.
Okay, well, we'll back to budget here pretty soon.
Yes, we will.
Anything else on the pending agenda? Who's on the audience participation? Any items doesn't necessarily have to be on the agenda. If you want to speak, do something. Name, address.
Hello, Kathy Randall, 308 Railroad Road. Couple things. Well, first, I want to say I appreciate the council's thoughtfulness to reach out to businesses and to get their perspectives on the sales tax. I think that's really important, and glad you're doing that and here to help with that in any way you need. Also, I want to voice my support of the fire department and all that they do for the community. I can't think of anything more important that they do than what they do. Also, I forgot to mention that you may have noticed there was some posters and QR codes and a table at Salmon Jam asking for the community's feedback on tourism. It was a survey that we partnered with Oregon State University, their Sustainable Tourism Lab, and we were one of over 150 destinations around the world that participated in the survey, and will continue to participate in it for the next 5 years. And I'm excited for how it can help us monitor the impacts that we are seeing, positive and negative, and try to measure that holistically. We did get the initial results of that survey back from the researcher, Todd Montgomery, and we are going to be sharing that out first to our destination leadership team and meeting this coming Monday, and I'll send invitations to you guys to join that meeting if you'd like, and then we'll share it out more publicly once we get the so they'll do the first round. There is questions about demographics that they ask in that survey as well. So after the first round, in order to make sure that they have a complete sample, if there was any demographics that they are low on compared to census data, then they'll try to target that demographic to get a more fuller data set from them. So this is the initial report. There's going to be a more complete report available soon that we'll share out publicly. So, and I want to let you know that I am working with Jess Rude from CDFU to do outreach to businesses about the Board of Fish meeting, having that in Cordova. I'm working on sharing that information out with especially the restaurants to make sure that there's going to be eateries open and available. And I'm also trying to get information from the folks planning Board of Fish so that they can give me a better idea exactly if any of the meals during Board of Fish usually are catered, or what kind of meals, whether it's breakfast or lunch or dinner, are most important. And then the plan is by the end of November to be able to have a letter that goes out from the chamber saying that we've talked to businesses and they're committed to being open for Board of Fish. So just forgot to share that and wanted to share that info with you.
Thank you.
Mayor, I have a quick question for
Yes.
Kathy. Is there any way we could get a copy of the chamber budget?
Yes, I shared it so I shared last year's budget, which was the 2023 budget with Helen earlier this year, and now we're going to be going into budget planning for 2024. So did you want to see the 2023 budget again, or do you want me to wait and share with you the 2024 budget once we have it done in January?
I mean, I think both are helpful. We're coming in and making some big decisions.
Sure. Yeah, and just to clarify, the support that we get from the city is really kind of the bedrock of our funding, and it's what allows us, in addition to the in-kind that the city gives us. It's really what allows us to, be able to know that we can operate. And then everything else that we build on top of that is because we know we have the support of the city to operate. So, really appreciate what you guys have given us, and it has allowed us to, increase that and get to a point where we are building things that are pretty outstanding. So thank you again.
Thank you. Any other audience?
Name's Rob Matson, 301 Lake Avenue. I'm your guys' fire chief. I wrote this letter earlier today, or this week, last week. It's been a long week, sorry guys. The department is reaching its breaking points at this point in time. With the amount of runs that our volunteers have been going on, the amount of time they've been spending Thursday nights, even when they're not on call, they're down there training. I kind of gave you guys a breakdown of what other departments have been doing. We're not the only one that's struggling. This is not only statewide, this is nationwide with volunteers, so everybody's aware of that. I understand we're in some dire straits with the budget. We hope that you guys look through this and take it serious, because if we start losing more volunteers, it's gonna fall back to the city. I just want you guys to be very well aware of where we're at. Baylor said, bring this during budget cycle, not after budget cycle, not on this topic, but on the other budget stuff. So I'm trying to get this initiated a little bit earlier, since last year was my first kind of go around with it. So that's the reason you got it now, versus waiting until CBFD submitted a budget, so that we can try and get something worked out. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Thank you. And thank you for putting that together.
Any other public comments on anything? Okay, seeing none, we'll move on to council comments. Councilor Green.
So the first year I moved here in 1992, I put over 280 hours into the fire department with training and calls. Every ambulance run that I went on where a patient was lost, I have a vivid memory of that incident and that night. Some of them haunt me today. I think that the least we can do is compensate the volunteers, and I hate to live in a community where we didn't have the services that we have. So I think that's gonna be huge, and I appreciate the Cordova Volunteer Fire Department for bringing that forward. I lost a husband when I lived here, and my empathy, so I cannot run on an ambulance anymore. But I do understand what's involved, and I appreciate that there are people out there that are willing to do it. So I think that's something we really need to seriously look at. Appreciate the chamber presentation this evening, and the budget to, well, I'm gonna say disaster, because I hate numbers that, Officer Hayden is attempting to go through the first time, so I feel for you. And I appreciate all the staff's time. Sam, you're killing it, so thank you for everything. Appreciate you all, thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Sherman.
Oh, boy. Okay, I really wanted to thank staff, especially Susan and Sam. I know how hard they worked, and I know there's not been much time off. It's a tough year. We've had them before, we'll have them again. And it's gonna be the price you pay to live in paradise. And I wanna see the volunteer fire department compensated. I'd like to see another officer. I'd like to see Parks and Rec all funded, you know, and I'm willing to pay for it as a resident. So I hope people will start to speak up, comment. You can write letters. Got to have them to Susan by Wednesday at noon. It's easy to email. Let's hear from what you want us to do. We have these are hard decisions, and if we don't hear from the public, we're going to make them. But if you don't speak up, you got to be quiet. And I'm down in the real world and there are taxes galore down here. And where we live is such a special place. I'm willing to pay for it because I'd rather be there than here. That's all I got.
Thank you, Kathy. Councilmember Jones. So with it.
He must have dropped.
Again, maybe Councilmember Baylor. Yeah, got me. So, yeah. Yeah, it is paradise and Kathy says is right. You go down south and you are paying more taxes, but I made a recent trip down there this spring and I was paying 80 cents a pound for a plum. I got up here with $6 a pound for that same plum. So it makes it difficult to live here and we have to keep that in mind. I've worn a lot of hats, done a lot of jobs. I'm terrible in an office. I can do a lot of things, but 3 things I would never want to do, I just don't want to do it, would be a policeman, a fireman, and definitely not an EMT. I can deal with my own blood, but not nobody else's. So I respect people that do that. We do need to look at that funding, but we also have to look at Ski Hill. That's a recreational thing. Recreators need to pay for that. We gotta look at Parks and Rec. That's a recreational thing. That's a want. That has to get self-paid. The chamber, we have to look at all of these things in our budget. And if we gotta move some money around to compensate our police and fire and EMT, then, but we're not gonna add more taxes to do that. It has to come from another file. So keep that in mind when you're looking at all of these funds in these different places. We gotta move some money around, we gotta raise some money, but the community's gonna have to pay for some of these wants. The needs of the police, fire, and EMT, for sure. So, thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, right off, thank you, for Chief Mattson for presenting what you did. Thought out, well done, informative, and of course with that, thanks, for the organization that you lead. I know it's not just you, I know you're a small pebble in that pond. So I'm grateful for the rest of that pond who, keeps us safe. Echo what Tom was saying about our first responders. Absolutely done it, been there, grateful that there's other people who are willing to do it, so I don't have to do it anymore. So thank you to them in favor of having that conversation and doing that funding. The other thing, going back to funding, I think we just need to look, we're at a position at what is the essentials, what are the backbones of our community, emergency services, roads, sewer, water. These are all basic things that need to be addressed in our community before we can really get into the wants. And I understand that those wants have a high interest in our community plan. People have placed value on that. I just want a little more stake from those people in the community who are saying they want these nice wants. It's going to cost, but at the very least, we need our essential services taken care of, paid for. And I think that's really where I'm looking at this budget for this year, especially where there's such a deficit. Going into the presentation by Kathy, thank you. That was very informative. Thanks for answering some of those questions. I know we've talked offline on a few things, so thank you for bringing that to the more broader public. And thank you for working with Mr. Rude, I guess, at CDFU and coming up with a plan to get that, that board meeting here in town. It seems like a missed opportunity. And so thank you for doing that. And then thank you for Sean for your interest in representing the community. I think you do a great job of that. So thanks for putting your hat out there. Your name. Thank you.
Just a big thank you to Sam and Susan and all the staff for all the hard work they're putting together and putting all the numbers together for us. And it was nice having some of the input tonight. It makes it easier when you hear from more people. And so that was encouraging, and I would, just encourage you to reach out over the next couple weeks, over, the budgets.
Okay. Just a reminder, we do have the rest of our workshop. If we do, but, we will adjourn this meeting. And in a couple of minutes, we'll go back to our budget.
Susan,
Yeah.
should I call into the old line for the workshop or stay on this one?
I don't know.
Yeah, you can click back onto the other